What we have here is the extreme slow scap hang, also known as the dead hang. Very straightforward input. All we're going to be doing, hanging from a bar. But with that said, this is one of the most powerful, potent inputs you can feed your system. From a physical standpoint, it's one of the best upper body movements, especially within the scapula shoulder region. You can pretty much clear up any shoulder issue that you have going on simply by hanging from a bar from a daily basis. This has also been coined and termed the therapist for what it does from an emotional, psychological level. This is one of the most powerful, potent, it's a powerhouse of an input for your system from a physical, emotional, psychological standpoint. And so, positioning wise, the parameters for this move is very straightforward. Literally grabbing a bar and just hanging for time. A couple things to focus on or to emphasize. Palms are either facing away or in a neutral position. That's what we program for the most part, but you can vary your grip. You can go wide, short, alternate, palms facing. Put your fingerprint on your grip variation. That doesn't necessarily matter, but for the most part, we program palms facing away or in a neutral position. The next part is we want to get that thumb to wrap underneath the bar. That's what separates us from monkeys. We have these very useful and disposable thumbs, so we want to make sure we're incorporating this specifically with this input. So thumbs around the bar, for people with smaller hands, specifically women, they do feel stronger with thumbs over the bar. It's totally okay to do that. I just highly suggest you expose yourself to both. So thumbs underneath the bar and around, palms facing away to start out, and then we just hang, passively hanging, quote unquote passively. And so one thing to focus on here is just allowing your spine to decompress. Let gravity pull you down. You're not necessarily fighting for dear life. Just grasping the bar and dangling, hanging for time. Let the spine decompress. Let gravity pull it down. You'll feel distraction in the joints, separation, space within the joint. That's what we want. And then the next point of emphasis is focusing on breath. That's one of the most important factors with this input. The scap hang is the one move where you cannot physically compensate to buy yourself extra time. Take the lunge hold. You can tower forward. You can raise out of position. You can bend the back knee. Little compensations that make the input easier. On the scap hang, there's nowhere to go. And so upon fatigue, the brain's going to register as discomfort, shift. Tells the body, shift position. Body reports back, yo, I can't. So the only thing that it has is breath. So you'll be chilling, you'll be hanging, breathing through your nose. All of a sudden, fatigue, mouth breath, sympathetic response. Alleviation for the short term, but you'll quickly fail out of position. So a key point of emphasis on this move is nasal breath the entire time. I love 4-1-8-1 method, meaning, or the tempo. In through the nose for 4 seconds. Pause for 1, and then exhale for 8. And then repeat as so. That's going to keep parasympathetic, calm state while you're in a very stressful environment. That's going to allow you to survive just a little bit longer, push to that nth degree. Very, very important way to raise your threshold to stress. Your ability to control breath in a stressful environment. Try to think about the implications that applies outside of just a training environment. So focusing on breath, palms, thumbs around the bar, palms facing away, and we're just hanging. If you cannot sustain your own body weight for at least 10 seconds, that's totally okay. What we're gonna do is just regress by bringing in an elevated surface and placing our feet onto that object. And then from there, applying as much weight into the hands as we can sustain for 30 seconds. So right now, I got about 80% of my weight in the hands. The leftover 20% is in my feet. And then I just follow as so. The same parameters apply. I let my spine decompress, let gravity pull it down, and we hang. It could be maybe even 10% of your hands, of the weight in your hands, the leftover 90% in the feet. That is totally okay. We just want to get the arms overhead. If you can't even hang with a regress fashion, simply bringing arms overhead and reaching for the sky for time, you're going to get a very similar effect to the scap hang. In fact, it's a little bit of a heavier stimulus as you're integrating and actively pulling up. So there's plenty of variations. There's plenty of ways to troubleshoot this input if it's too demanding for you at this given moment in time. And then with that said, there's infinite amounts of way to progress with this input. You can load it, you can shift your grip variation, you can go wide, you can go short, you can go alternate, palms facing you, loaded, I think I said that, single arm variations. You can go active where you're using your scaps to pull you up. There's tons of variations with it, but so play around with it, find what works for you. From a foundational standpoint, most humans, if not all humans, should be able to just passively, quote unquote passively, hang their body weight for 90 seconds. That is a goal to shoot for from a minimum standpoint. So from the back, just so you see what it looks like. Focusing on my breath, letting my spine decompress, getting lost within the input. So one last time, focus on breath, palms facing away, thumbs around the bar, let the spine decompress, get lost with the input, hang for as long as you can until that grip goes. It's going to get very, very uncomfortable, very, very stressful, but one of the most powerful inputs you can provoke onto the body. So this is the extreme slow scap hang, also known as the dead hang.